Next, we will explain the steps needed for reconciling a bank account and we'll show you how to complete them. Reconciliation is the process of ensuring that two sets of records are in agreement. For example, a bank account in Sage 300 and the corresponding checking account at the bank. The reconciliation is used to ensure that the money deposited into or withdrawn from an account matches the actual money received or spent. The reconciliation is performed to identify errors that can originate from the data entry or from the bank, such as missing transactions, a duplicate transaction, or an inaccurate amount or date. It is usually considered a best practice to reconcile all bank accounts every month upon receiving the statement. Depending on your volume of transactions, you may need to reconcile your accounts more frequently. The bank reconciliation process in Sage 300 is relatively simple. First, you enter summary information in the Reconcile Statements window. Then, you can start clearing transactions in the Reconciliation tab. After, you can record and post other bank entries that were not previously posted in the system. For example, bank charges. And finally, you would balance and post the reconciliation. Let's see how to process a bank reconciliation in Sage 300. Go to Common Services, Bank Services, then Bank Transactions and select Reconcile Statements. We select the bank account and enter the description. The left-hand side shows the information coming from the bank statement and the right-hand side shows the information coming from the general ledger. We enter the statement date and balance. The reconciliation date is the cutoff date for transactions you would see in the Reconciliation tab. The Zoom option next to the book balance displays the GL balance. You can see the bank balance in the GL and the balance related to bank services, taking into account all the outstanding transactions. Assuming everything is posted and up to date in your general ledger and that you have a one-on-one relationship between the GL account that's being reported here and the bank account, the two amounts should match. After the statement balance is entered, the system calculates the out-of-balance amount by comparing the adjusted statement balance and the adjusted book balance. We can recalculate the amounts displayed at any point in time. This option is only available if the adjusted statement balance and the adjusted book balance are not equal. We can also save the bank reconciliation in case we want to close the reconciliation window to continue it later or to find some other information. Let's now go to the Reconciliation tab to start clearing transactions. The grid shows the bank transactions entered throughout the system. We can display the transactions in different ways. All transactions or only those outstanding or reconciled, all transactions or only withdrawals or deposits, and sorted by date or by transaction number. If we have many transactions and want to clear entire ranges of withdrawals or deposits that the bank has processed, we use the Quick Clearing screen. In this screen, we can select the transaction type, how we want to mark them, either cleared, outstanding, or reversed, and the range of numbers. To clear individual transactions, we can change the reconciliation status in the grid. If we clear the transaction with a bank error or write-off, we need to enter the cleared amount. We could also double-click the Reconciled column to mark a transaction as cleared. Or, if the Reconciled column is selected, use the space bar to change the reconciled status. Please notice that when a transaction is marked as reconciled, the reconciliation status changes to cleared. Also notice that for every cleared transaction, the out-of-balance by amount is updated at the bottom of the screen. When the account is reconciled, this amount should be 0. If other expenses or incomes appear on your bank statement for transactions that you have not recorded in Sage 300, click Bank Entry to record them. It is important to post the bank entries before going back to the reconciliation. From this reconciliation window, we can drill down into the transaction to see its details. To access the transaction details, we select the transaction and click the icon in the column header. The Totals tab displays a summary of all the transactions included in the reconciliation. Once we finish clearing and adding the transactions, we go back to the Summary tab and recalculate the amounts. Click Yes or OK if asked to save the changes. If the reconciliation is balanced, we can post it. Let's click Post. Posting the bank reconciliation changes the status of the transactions as selected in the reconciliation window, and if needed, processes any write-off or error transactions. You now know the steps needed for reconciling a bank account and how to complete them.